Welcome to InfoSpark Hub Globe Brief Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for updates. The world was stunned by a headline no one expected. Beijing accepts Taipei's landmark peace proposal. It flashed across global news, halting parliaments and lighting up phones from New York to Tokyo. For over 75 years, the Taiwan Strait has been a flashpoint, shaping alliances and economies. Tonight, that changes. China, long insistent on its claim over Taiwan, has agreed to a framework proposed by Taipei, a government it once refused to recognize. This isn't a ceasefire, it's a comprehensive roadmap for engagement and trust building. Crowds in Taipei celebrate with relief and disbelief, while Beijing's media frames the deal as a triumph for peaceful development. For generations, the narrative was conflict or forced reunification. Now, dialogue and cooperation are suddenly real possibilities. The world is scrambling to understand the implications. From US military strategy to global supply chains, we'll break down this historic agreement, the history behind it, and the challenges ahead. This is a story of a dangerous rivalry that may finally be turning a page toward peace. What happens next is uncertain, but tonight, hope has replaced inevitability. The Taiwan Strait, once a symbol of division, could become a beacon of reconciliation. The world is watching, holding its breath. The magnitude of this moment is hard to overstate. For decades, the Taiwan conflict was seen as unsolvable, a fundamental clash of sovereignty and identity. Most experts predicted only rising tensions and the risk of war. This agreement shatters those assumptions, forcing a total rethink of East Asia's future. For Taiwan, proposing peace took immense political courage. For China, accepting it marks a dramatic shift from decades of hardline policy. The deal offers the first real, mutually accepted off-ramp from a path to war. It replaces strategic ambiguity with a detailed plan for economic, cultural, and even military engagement. The world has been conditioned to expect the worst in the Taiwan Strait: military drills, close calls, and escalating rhetoric. Now the narrative is one of possible cooperation. Deep mistrust remains, but for the first time in over 70 years, there's a signed framework for peace. Diplomats call it a game changer. It's fundamentally altered the landscape of international security. The future of East Asia, and the world, just shifted. To grasp today's breakthrough, we must revisit 1949. The Chinese Civil War ended with Mao's communists taking the mainland, while Chiang Kai-shek's nationalists fled to Taiwan. Both sides claimed to be the legitimate government of all China, forcing the world to choose. The US initially recognized Taipei, but by 1979 switched to Beijing, acknowledging the One China principle while still supporting Taiwan's defense. Taiwan evolved into a vibrant democracy and tech powerhouse but remained diplomatically isolated. Beijing, now a global superpower, has always viewed Taiwan as a breakaway province. The threat of invasion and military exercises have been a constant reality for Taiwan. In response, Taiwan built a strong military and deepened unofficial alliances, especially with the US. This standoff defined the region for over 75 years. Today's agreement is shocking and hopeful precisely because of this long, bitter history. The old cycle of tension and isolation may finally be breaking. A new chapter is beginning. The Orchid Blossom Initiative is a three-part framework for peace. First, economic cooperation, a cross-strait economic zone to foster joint ventures in green energy, biotech and AI, making both economies interdependent. Second, cultural and social exchange, expanded tourism, academic programs, and a youth ambassador program to rebuild human connections and erode mistrust. Third, military trust building, a direct hotline, pre-notification of exercises and no-fly/no-sail zones to prevent accidental conflict. Crucially, the plan sidesteps the sovereignty question, proposing a 50-year freeze on the dispute. Neither side abandons its core position, but both commit to non-aggression and cooperation. This pragmatic approach made the proposal impossible for Beijing to ignore. It's a bold, peaceful alternative to the status quo. Why did China agree now, after years of hardline rhetoric? Domestic pressures, a slowing economy, real estate crisis, and high youth unemployment make war risky and costly. The war in Ukraine showed the dangers of global isolation and sanctions. An attack on Taiwan could cripple China's tech ambitions and economy. The proposal's design, economic integration, cultural ties, and a freeze on the sovereignty issue, lets Beijing claim a win without ideological surrender. Militarily, an invasion of Taiwan remains daunting, with high risks and likely US-Japanese intervention. This agreement neutralizes immediate threats and shifts the contest to economic and cultural spheres. It's a strategic pivot from coercion to influence. For China, peace is now the smarter path. The world's capitals reacted with shock and cautious optimism. In Washington, officials welcomed the dialogue but scrambled to assess its impact on U.S. security commitments. Japan, long worried about its own security, expressed relief but remains wary of China's intentions. The European Union hailed the deal as a diplomatic victory, validating its emphasis on peaceful engagement. South Korea and ASEAN nations broadly welcomed the lowered regional temperature. India, watching closely, sees a major shift in China's strategic focus and wonders if it will ease tensions elsewhere. For many, the agreement is a relief, a chance to avoid being caught between superpowers. The deal is already reshaping alliances and calculations across Asia and beyond. The world is adjusting to a new reality in the Taiwan Strait. The stakes are global, not just regional. This is a turning point for international diplomacy. The ripple effects are only beginning. This agreement puts China and Taiwan at a crossroads with several possible futures. The best-case scenario, genuine rapprochement, booming trade, flourishing cultural ties, and a new generation that sees more in common than in conflict. Military trust-building holds, and over decades, a peaceful political solution emerges. A second scenario, stagnation. Economic ties grow, but Beijing uses them for leverage, cultural exchanges become political tools, and mistrust lingers. The deal manages conflict but doesn't resolve it, postponing the real issues. Third, a stable but distant coexistence. War is avoided but deep integration never materializes. Taiwan diversifies partnerships, wary of dependence. China finds influence limited. The result, a cold peace, stable but with permanent separation. Reality will likely mix these outcomes: progress, setbacks, and ongoing tension. The Orchid Blossom Initiative's success depends on political will, international support, and public sentiment. Hardliners will resist, but for the first time, the future is a matter of choice, not fate. The path is open, not predetermined. The next steps will define a generation. The agreement's impact goes far beyond Taiwan and China. The Taiwan Strait, a vital shipping lane, is now more stable, reducing global supply chain risks and insurance costs. Tech companies, especially in semiconductors, gain new security. The threat of a supply shock recedes. The US, Japan, and Europe may slow efforts to build their own chip industries, as immediate risks diminish. Politically, the deal reshuffles alliances. The US faces both opportunity and challenge. A peaceful strait is a win, but complicates its military presence and alliances like the Quad and AUKUS. US strategy may shift from deterrence to economic and diplomatic competition. China, meanwhile, boosts its image as a responsible global power, especially in the global south. The world is moving toward a multipolar order, where diplomacy and economics matter more than confrontation. This agreement accelerates that transition. The global balance of power is being redrawn. The Taiwan Strait is now a symbol of possibility, not peril. The world is watching the transformation unfold. As the world absorbs this stunning news, perspective is vital. The Orchid Blossom Initiative is a beginning, not a guarantee. Deep issues of sovereignty and identity remain unresolved, merely set aside for now. Success will require courage, commitment, and skilled diplomacy from both sides. Hardliners will test every step. Trust will be hard-won. The international community, especially the US, must support the peace process and help keep both sides on track. Despite the challenges, this is a profound moment of hope. For millions on both sides, it's a chance to escape the shadow of war and build a future defined by prosperity and respect. The journey will be long and difficult, with setbacks inevitable, but for the first time in decades, there's a clear path forward that doesn't lead to conflict. China and Taiwan have taken the first step together. The world watches, hoping this is the dawn of a new era of peace in the Taiwan Strait.